This will be the final batter now. Oh, to third. Can they get it? One. First base for the the no-hitter. A no-hitter for Sharon Martis on the double play. The improbability of it with the pitch count. And yet, it's a no-hitter. The first no-hitter thrown in the World Baseball Classic. Sharon Martis, 19 years old, has the no-hitter, and the Netherlands gets their win.
One of the very first indelible moments in World Baseball Classic history back in 2006, a then actually 18-year-old Sharon Martis threw a no-hitter in a early termination rule shortened game. Not only is that the only World Baseball Classic no-hitter, that's the only complete game in the history of the Classic. And today he takes the mound for his side against Jaime Maria as the Netherlands squares off with Panama. And back inside Jung, my name is Tyler Mon alongside Ryan Rowland-Smith. Ryan, let's take a look at this Panama lineup today as announced by Luis Ortiz, a lineup that broke out yesterday, snapping a 30-inning scoreless streak in the WBC for Panama with 12 runs on 14 hits.
Yeah, and you're looking, they are looking to keep that momentum rolling into the early game. Not a whole lot of sleep. Nothing has changed a whole lot. Hits up and down the lineup for them. They were tough to strike out. That was one thing that was so impressive. Only the 6 strikeouts last night. They get to 2 strikes a bunch. Just hard to put them away.
And on the other side, it is the veteran Sharon Martis who gets the nod in a big spot today for his squad, pitching in the Dutch Major Leagues currently.
Yeah, and you mentioned 17 years ago. This man was 18 years old. A lot has happened in 17 years, but here he is, 35 years old, and still representing his country. He has pitched in the Dutch League the last couple of years, has got some Major League time, a couple cups of coffee over 3 years, but here he is, having a chance to put his team in the driver's seat.
I was told yesterday I got to get a little bit better on pronunciation of Hoofdklasse. Honkbal Hoofdklasse. Actually, I think I got honkball wrong.
Your posture changed as he said that too. Wow. Going all in. I love it.
First pitch on a Thursday afternoon is fouled back from Alan Cordova, the leadoff man for this Panama squad, and we are underway at 12:08 in the afternoon local time. Two teams grabbing day one victories yesterday, the Netherlands and Panama, and for this Panama team, it is a very difficult challenge to get back into a rhythm after a really short night of sleep and be right back at things as Cordova will flare this out on a couple of hops to second base and an easy play over there for Jonathan Scope. 1 up, 1 down.
Yeah, we mentioned how much has changed in 17 years, and again, for when you look at Sharon Martis, has lost a little bit of velocity. When we saw him in the the first WBC in 2006, when we saw him pitching as a major leaguer, he was 90, 92 with heavy sink. He still has that sink. The pitch usage will change, but you're going to see 86 to 87, 88s. But look at that, savvy and competitive, trying to get his team into a good position.
2-hole belongs to Jonathan Arauz today. Arauz, member of the New York Mets organization. He's taken part in some spring training games already this year for the Mets. 2 for 9 in Grapefruit League play. You're a guy who got to spend time in both the Grapefruit League and the Cactus League. What is the biggest difference? It's got to be the humidity, right?
Well, I mean, the month of March isn't too bad. The travel gets you. Arizona, much prefer it. There's short commutes to all those different complexes. In Florida, man, you sit on that bus, a couple hours, middle of the day. Looking at Panama too, they had that 4-hour game last night, went into, 11 p.m. here local time. You start to look at that and think, man, did they get enough sleep? Are they rested? But I think for them, you have to ride that momentum. This is not a bad situation to be right back at it because you're coming off some good vibes. Obviously, the first game of the tournament, putting up 12 runs. You want to get right back out there. If you're coming off a loss, different story. Like if this was Chinese Taipei, for example, that you kind of got that bell rung a little bit, took the energy out of this building just enough. It's tough to turn around and play this game.
Sky-high pop-up left side of the infield for Andrelton Simmons. 2 gone quickly, and we'll take a look at that fantastically talented Netherlands defense, of course, led by the infield, but man, the outfielders are no slouch either. Yeah, that is for sure. And again, the big storyline, we know about these names. We know about the Gold Gloves, Andrelton Simmons, Bogarts on the left side, Jonathan Scope, Didi Gregorius, plenty of defense. And the Dutch pitching yesterday was able to get the ball on the ground and just let that infield do their thing. But I mean, Roger Bernardino, a little bit later in his career, still has that extra step playing center field.
Profar and Palacios to either side of him.
38 years old, Roger Bernardina, still manning center field, still doing it really well, too.
And we got a chance to see him get down the line yesterday. Hasn't lost a step. Usually that's that first thing to go when you get to your late 30s.
And we talked yesterday about the amount of stops in his career in multiple countries, as the first hit of the day belongs to Christian Bethencourt, who serves a 2-out single into center. And Panama's offense, so impressive yesterday, has its first knock of Thursday afternoon.
That's something Christian Bethencourt does such a good job at, that secondary stuff, that slower stuff. As we saw him do this to a split yesterday. This is a slider down and away. Able to drive that ball into right center field.
Chiron Martis, as we noted, owns the only no-hitter in World Baseball Classic history. He will not be repeating that performance today. Did it against Panama 17 years ago, and he gives up his first one here in the first inning as Los Angeles Dodgers prospect Jose Ramos gets strike one there called on the swing, and it is 0-1. Ramos last year split his time between the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes and the Great Lake Loons. Great Lakes in the Midwest League, Rancho Cucamonga in the California League. Those two leagues used to be flipped in the levels. It used to be the Midwest League was the low A level and the California League was high A, but man, those grades top to bottom, really impressive on the 20 to 80 scouting scale.
Yeah, it's a tough level to get to when you're talking top 10 prospects in any organization these days with some of the athleticism. That just goes to show you as you take another look at the scouting grades. Look at that arm too, 70. Yeah. This is something we don't talk about. And he covered a lot of ground. That big play yesterday, that collision at right center field. Even to get to that spot, that World Baseball Classic sign out there in 2023 at right center field.
Called strike three on that low one at the knees to Ramos, and he is gone. Chiron Martis able to work around the 2-out single. Bottom of the first, Netherlands coming up. Hensley Mulens and the Kingdom of the Netherlands ready to go on day number 2 of this 2023 World Baseball Classic. 4-2 winners yesterday over Cuba. Starting lineup looks like this.
Yeah, the same lineup as yesterday. You see all those bats, major league bats at the top of the lineup. It was really the bottom of the lineup, though, that did the damage. 4-2 win yesterday against Cuba. Chadwick Tromp coming up with a big hit. Josh Palacios. Remember that at bat yesterday against Cuba? There was that drop third strike, and all of a sudden able to get that ball through the infield, and that was the difference.
And the starting pitcher today for Panama, what an asset to be able to go to your ace in game number 2 as Jaime Barria gets the nod and deals strike one.
Yeah, we talked about this in the open. Panama are in the best spot you can be. They come out last night, they take care of a team, Chinese Taipei, that they essentially don't know a whole lot about. They could be an upset team. They came out, took care of business with them. Pitching's in good shape, the bullpen's in good shape, and they got their ace on the mound, Jaime Barria.
Each team in this opening round of the World Baseball Classic will play 4 games, and you really do have to manage it almost like a postseason series. And, you know, we see in short 3-game or 5-game series, do you go with your ace in game 1? Do you gamble and try to get the win in game 1, go to your ace in game 2? And for Panama, able to get that win yesterday as a flare out to short, settles into the glove of the veteran Ruben Tejada. But that's huge to be able to turn to Jaime Barria on day number 2.
Yeah, it really is. You look at Ruben Tejada making this just look absolutely automatic. Kind of drifting a little bit, and then just casually makes the basket catch with the sun. Good thing he was back on this too. Look, this is the center fielder's priority. He did break the wrong way. It is tough, middle of the day, especially when you're coming out of a night game. You have played the stadium obviously yesterday, but it's a little different all of a sudden when you turn around and play a noon game the next day.
It's also a really hazy day today, which could play some tricks for Jose Ramos out there in center, flanked by Alan Cordoba in left and Luis Castillo in right. But there's a mountainous backdrop out behind the outfield here, just a gray haze that's sort of covering up that mountain view from our perch up on the second level as the veteran Roger Bernardina chops one out to second, 2 up and 2 down here in the bottom of the first.
And we talked about that 2.6 ERA put up in 2022, and a big reason is because of that bowling ball sinker. Opponents hitting just around 100 against that pitch. He's got a low 90s fastball. The changeup is that big swing and miss pitch. When he gets the 2 strikes, you'll see that changeup to righties and lefties. Like I said, a big reason to get that ball on the ground. He's going to use this all day long, keep that pitch count efficient, is that sinker of his.
So 2 gone, and it brings in the X-Man, Xander Bogaerts, who, as we talked about in the pregame conversation today, so far in the World Baseball Classic really has not busted out the way that we expect him to when you look at his career numbers.
Yeah, we're going to look today, I mean, a little less velocity from Jaime Barria. We saw that yesterday from the Cuban pitching. 96s, 98s. Again, it is much. You do have to factor in. You're getting off that 14-hour flight. You're in spring training mode. You are just a tick behind the pitching.
Jaime Barria, as Ryan noted last year, just brilliant in a relief capacity for the Angels. He made 35 appearances last season. 34 of those were out of the bullpen, an ERA of 2.61.
And a big reason for that success, too. Look at this count, 1-2. He was ahead in the count way more than any other time in his career. Gives him a chance to get to that changeup, just like that.
Bogarts takes it in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes. It is another gorgeous day here in Taichung, 76 degrees Fahrenheit, which, as we figured out yesterday, 23.3 degrees Celsius. Ryan did that math all in his head. As a metric system devotee.
That's right.
Big metric system guy. He's got
right.
metric system T-shirts and such. 2 balls, 2 strikes on
Still waiting
Bogarts.
for the United States to join the party. The rest of the world, the metric system.
Andrew Jones over in that first base dugout, hitting coach for this Netherlands, or check out the bench coach for this Netherlands team. Grounder left side, and that's past the dive of Ruben Tejada, and on into left field. Xander Bogaerts heard it talking about his sluggish World Baseball Classics, and he's got himself his first hit of the Classic.
And sometimes it takes a day or two. He may bust out. This is a sinking fastball, stays in the middle of the plate. There's too much plate with 2 strikes. I'll tell you what, though, this Netherlands team, if that man Xander Bogaerts, man of the plate Didi Gregorius, the middle of this lineup can get going, it's going to be a dangerous team.
Really limited sample size, but Xander Bogaerts now 3 for 5 against Jaime Barria all time. A couple of doubles and that single. So with 2 gone and Bogarts over at first, very similar starts to the game today for each offense. A ground out and a pop out for the first 2 guys, and then a single. Both lineups as Didi Gregorius stands in. Didi yesterday 1 for 3 with a walk and the run batted in.
And the one thing to pay attention to for this Panamanian team, they're trying to get the most innings they can out of Jaime Barria. Pay attention to that pitch count. Healthy right now, 2 outs, 12 pitches. They're trying to get him essentially into that 4th, perhaps. We talk about just the way you play this. It's a situation, sometimes you bring in these big name starting pitchers, but there are times where they want to take a little bit to get settled, get established. By the time you do that, you're 50, 60 pitches into your pitch count. This guy right here, Jaime Barria, usually faces the lineup once over. We'll go multiple innings out of the bullpen. This is a really good spot for him.
2 balls and a strike now on Gregorius. Didi, the left-handed bat, most recently with the Philadelphia Phillies. Last 3 seasons, last couple years, really battled through injuries. But still, a guy with a lot of baseball left ahead of him, just 33 years old, and in fact, is just past his 33rd birthday, which is back on February 18th. And Didi, even though he is a player who is one of the players essentially from the islands, where he grew and developed and played his ball, he was born in Amsterdam, and he takes that 3-1 up and away for ball 4. Take a look at the Panama defensive alignment. We mentioned Jose Ramos in center field and Ruben Tejada, the veteran, over at short. Very good group.
Yeah, one of the biggest differences in the game, especially when you talk about momentum shifts, are some of the big plays made last night. We saw Luis Castillo, Jose Ramos in there at right field. Jose Caballero making that big play over by the top over there in left field. Ruben Tejada. So a good defensive group behind Jaime Barria.
So 2 out and 2 on now for Jonathan Scope out of the 5 spot. First pitch is ball 1 to him. Barria shoots a look into the dugout. Maybe not real thrilled with the early strike zone. It is Major League veteran and crew chief Larry Vanover behind home plate. Shoji Arasumi from Japan is the third base umpire. Trent Thomas from Australia is in second. And Roberto Ortiz, also from Major League Baseball, over in first. Count evens at 1-1. Larry Vanover is one of those guys who's got a great umpire name. I don't know what it is about saying Crew Chief Larry Vanover. Just sounds perfectly big league. 1-1 left side, and that's into the glove of Jose Caballero, and it brings the inning to a close. Jonathan Scope got a lot of it, but couldn't shoot it through the infield, and we head to the second in a scoreless game inside jump. Big league veteran Ruben Tejada will lead off the top of the second for Panama. Outstanding performance last night against Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, he really had a big performance on both sides of the ball. Obviously, the defense, we're already seeing a little bit today, but just an explosive player offensively as well. And we talked about a lot of these Major League veterans who are trying to get back to that level. This is the best platform for them to tear it up and be on that center stage.
You want to know what these games mean to these players? You saw that headfirst slide from Ruben Tejada. That was to score the first run for Panama in 30 innings in the World Baseball Classic. Panama had not scored a run in a WBC game since 2006. They were 0-5 going into last night. They had scored 7 combined runs, and they put up 12 runs on 14 hits last night. Honestly, Ryan, I mean, we saw this Panama team play on home soil in the qualifier, and we know how well they played and how talented that team seemed, but the travel to come over here to Taichung, as Tejada takes 3 for called strikes, and he's gone for out number 1. We didn't really know what to expect from Panama. They were extremely impressive last night.
Yeah, they had tons of chemistry down there in Panama, and you kind of scratching your head. You look at some of the countries that were at both those qualifying pools, and you think, man, Panama, it's like they don't belong here. They should just get that automatic in because of the talent they had. And then obviously with their manager, that man right there, Luis Ortiz, talking about some of the add-ons, Major League talent, Jaime Barria being one of them. So they're a force. We saw it last night, 12 runs in game 1.
He told us yesterday, or 2 days ago rather, in our manager meetings, that he essentially told the additions to this squad after the qualifier, hey, be an addition and not a subtraction. We qualified for this without you. We love what you bring here, but you got to fit in with what we're trying to do. And somebody like Jaime Barria, obviously a massive addition to this team, and a guy who you can tell just has his finger on the pulse of what makes this group successful.
Yeah, it's definitely that different identity when you are in a situation where you do have to qualify. You're in a region of the world too, in the Caribbean, where you're surrounded by the elite countries. You're talking Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Cuba.
Right side, that's a fair ball down the line. It's going to be extra bases for Luis Castillo as he will dig into second. And a one-out double puts a man in scoring position for Panama.
And it continues for Panama. Good contact. We saw a lot of that last night. These weren't a whole lot of cheap hits. Some good exit below. And again, getting the pitch to handle. Middle of the plate, 3-1 count. Cross that ball down the right field line.
That brings up Erasmo Caballero. Score update from Tokyo. We are no longer the only team, or the only group, I should say, in action, as Pool B has open play in Tokyo. Australia with a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the 5th inning over Korea. Former Philadelphia Phillies prospect Tim Kennelly with a home run in that game for the Aussies. He's the team captain. Erasmo Caballero, the DH out of the 7th spot. Nothing doing at second base. You may be able to hear some of the percussion sounds, the cheers sounds. You may think, oh, they sound a little young. A lot of school kids groups in the house today. This is, what a cool Thursday field trip. Oh, could you imagine just like, you're in 4th grade, here's your Thursday afternoon, let's go watch the World Baseball Classic?
How about that? I mean, this is like a junior version of what we saw last night with the noise and the, banging on the sticks and everything else. But I mean, look, for these kids too, I mean, obviously they're playing MLB The Show, they follow Major League Baseball. Here they are literally sitting on, like you said, on a Thursday afternoon, getting a chance to watch MLB All-Stars, Andrew Simmons, Xander Bogaerts, Jerickson, Profar.
And man, it is such a different thing to see that in front of you in the flesh.
Yeah.
To see it in your hometown, on your home island, to see Xander Bogaerts and superstars in this game. It is so cool. And not only that, but, you know, smacking those inflatable, what do they call those? Thunder sticks, right?
Yeah, remember the 2002 World Series?
Yeah.
Angels and the Giants.
Caballero takes that one away. It's a different sound than Horn Guy, who we know rocketed around Twitter yesterday as an infamous WBC Day 1 participant. There he is.
He's going to save his
Horn Guy. That's true. He is resting up.
Yes.
For the late game tonight, as his squad, Cuba, will try to rebound from a Day 1 loss. Caballero in the air to center field. Bernardina has this one in his sights. Tagging at second and bluffing there. Castillo will hold. And 2 away. But I like that description. It's a junior version of what we saw last night. These kids in the house today.
Last night was unreal. I mean, you mentioned 10 years it's taken for them to get this kind of level, the World Baseball Classic, back on home soil. That was down by 10. Tyler. There he is.
There he is. There's Horn Guy. I don't know if he had any fun, judging on that video. I'm not sure if Horn Guy was enjoying himself.
Yeah, he's relaxing right now. Or maybe he might still be a little frustrated with the game yesterday. You know?
It's a shirt from the, I believe, U23 Baseball World Cup. Big cut and miss there from Jose Caballero. In the lineup right behind Erasmo Caballero today. Jose yesterday, a spectacular play down the left field line, chasing down a foul pop-up. Made an over-the-shoulder catch, weaving his way around the tarp, bracing himself before running into the fence down the left field line. Part of a series of outstanding defensive plays as he crutches this one out to left center, and that one's going to track its way out to Bernardina. And the theme that we discussed yesterday continues to be in play. Things just don't travel well to left field here during the day or left center, and we're headed to the bottom of the second scoreless. Learning that things don't travel real easily to left and left center here inside jump.
Yeah, sounded good, looked good off the bat. All of a sudden, someone pulled the parachute a couple times. Look at this. That ball was just going nowhere. And then we were questioning in the night game, is this going to continue? Is this just how it is the entire time? But all of a sudden, the night game, the ball started to travel a little bit.
Yeah, the wind died down completely last night. Man, you could see, I mean, the 2 guys you see in that video will bat in this inning. Vladimir Ballantine leading off, and Andrelton Simmons, who's due up third. You can see Simmons, a little bat flip. He was pretty confident that was out. Ballantine is confident that most things are out when they leave his bat with the way he swings it. And neither one cleared the fence. Not only that, Simmons' ball didn't even get to the warning track, and it was louder than Ballantine's coming off the bat. So this ballpark, especially for the day games, will very much favor right-handed or left-handed power hitters. Right-handed guys are going to have a hard time hitting anything out to left or to left center, which, you know, if somebody does, means it was very well struck. Count 2 balls and a strike.
Tell you what,
on the veteran.
Regardless of the wind, Jaime Barria's starting to slip behind in these counts. See another 2-1 count. This is when good hitters become great. They get pitches to hit up in the strike zone.
Here's more from Vladimir Ballantine's longtime stay across the globe in baseball. You can hit dingers, you're going to find a job anywhere, and he has done that for a very long time.
Yeah, here's a guy, big swing and misses. We saw that yesterday. He's done that his entire career, but you make mistakes, he'll make you pay for it.
2013, he set the Nippon Professional Baseball single-season home run mark with 60 homers, breaking a record of 55 formerly held by Japanese home run king Sadaharu Oh, among others. Able to get the hands of that one and get a piece to stay alive. Count 3 and 2.
Same frustrating. 2 pitches in this at bat that he could handle. A couple hanging sliders up in the zone. See the frustration too.
Barria trying to put away a leadoff out for the second time in as many innings. And his 3-2 is up high, won't do so here. Second walk issued by Jaime Barria.
That's that one pitch, that slider of his. He's having a tough time commanding it, getting him in bad counts, leaving it up in the strike zone. Just not able to put hitters away. It's a slider again. Yeah. Majority of these pitches have been up around that general vicinity. Again, you talk about that sinking fastball he has. Opponents hit 106 in 2022. And that changeup he usually throws when he gets to 2 strikes.
That brings up a guy who yesterday played a big role in his team's victory, Josh Palacios, who was the one to come through with an RBI single to give the Netherlands the lead. That came in the bottom of the 6th inning, broke a 1-1 tie. Josh Palacios, he and his brother Richie on this team. Guys who are sons of a Curacao native. Nice pick over there first by Yadiel Santa Maria, but a foul ball. And here was that knock yesterday that put the Netherlands in the lead for good.
Yeah, this was huge. I mean, the pitch right before this, before there was strike 3, Vieira was frustrated, and then he coughed up that just enough to get through the infield, broke this game open, got him that first win against Cuba.
Ball and 2 strikes on the Pittsburgh Pirates farmhand Josh Palacios. Count even.
They're starting to have some good at-bats getting dialed in against Jaime Barria. And we talk a lot about the pitch counts. That's one thing. All right, you're not going to light him up. That's okay. But let's see what you can do to that pitch count. Let's take a look at the restrictions. He's already 30 plus. He's going to be one and done. He's going to get Luis Ortiz is going to get him to 60, 65 pitches. You want to try and get as many innings budget as much as you can.
Palacios swinging out of his shoes on 2-2. He's gone on strikes.
Talk about the 2-seamer a lot, that sinking fastball. What about the fastball up in the strike zone? 93 to the top of the strike zone, especially when you're sitting changeup. Usually when you get to 2 strikes, you're thinking to yourself, okay, you read the scouting report, probably going to see that changeup. That 93 looks like 103.
So that brings up Andrelton Simmons. Good performance for him yesterday out of the same spot in the order. Had a single in the 4th. Hit a ball very well in the 8th that you saw a moment ago. Didn't get out, but made some good contact. Also a couple of strikeouts.
A couple ex-teammates squaring off, the Angels. Simmons kind of gave Barria the nod as if to say, it's happening. Let's go for it. 60 feet away.
Go back in behind the runner and bouncing back in at first. You told me a story about, I think it was in one of your WBC games, you had a teammate step into the batter's box and didn't realize you were pitching for Australia and give you a look like, what are you doing out here?
No, matter of fact, even worse for them. Nori Aoki
right.
was playing for Japan. Now, at this point, I've already started getting into broadcasting. I do cover the Mariners. And so this is someone I met in 2016 and said, hey, I'm part of the broadcast crew. Sure enough, March the very next year, he's looking at me like, hold on a minute.
Simmons in the air to center. Ramos puts it away. 2 gone. Wait a minute. Is this the color analyst? What is this dude doing out here?
Are you going to ask me how I did, or?
How'd you do?
Loaded bases, Tokyo Dome, strike 3, Tyler. Struck him out. I think he quit after that. I think he's like, you know what, if I'm getting struck out by people who don't play anymore,
I'm out of this game. I'm done now. That'll bring up Chadwick Trump. See, it's so different hearing stories from guys who had success in baseball. You asked me the other day, well, I was a little insulted. You asked me the other day, quote, have you ever taken batting practice? Of course I've taken bat. I said, yes, Ryan. I played baseball to some critical acclaim as a member of the club baseball team at the University of Nebraska. And the stories that we all tell are like the guys who we came across who just destroyed us in our baseball lives. One of my longtime close friends, Greg Williams, who was one of the group of friends that I've attended every World Baseball Classic with as a fan, Greg gave up a home run to Adrian Gonzalez in high school that the way he describes it cleared the right field wall, the street behind right field, the houses behind the street behind right field. Pitch there to Chadwick Tromp for a strike. I do remember in my high school days only playing against one future big leaguer, a guy named Kirk Neuenhuis, who played in the big leagues for a little while. I interviewed him a few years ago for a story for MILB.com, and I said, "You went to Denver Christian?" He said, "Yeah, I did." I said, "I went to Bishop Matchbuff." Compared years and figured out that we had played against each other, as man, Faria really wanted that strike ball.
He sure did. That's that pitch. We're talking about that slider at the top of the strike zone. He's just not getting it from Larry Vanover. And this is another one. You see him try and sell it as he walked off the mound. It's that feeling, you know what? I've got to this point. I've executed just enough. Probably a little above the strike zone.
Balancing off, and Trump in the air to left. We saw the wind play some tricks down the line yesterday, and oh, it falls in front of Alan Cordova, who lost it in the sun. Ballantyne's steaming around, and he's out at the plate. Oh, what a throw from Alan Cordova. Ballantine wants a challenge. So does Andrew Jones, who is emphatically signaling to Hensley Mullins in that first base dugout, but Alan Cordova may have saved the first run of the game after losing that fly ball in the sun.
Well, Ballantine going in on contact because you do have the 2 outs, and Cordova, we talked about the sun playing tricks on you, especially when you play the night before. It's a little different look. He just let that ball drop, but able to hear his teammates get a chance to throw the ball into Ballantine. We're going to take another look.
We could hear Hensley Mullins say we can't get the replay, and Larry Vanover, I think, is saying, hey, you either have to challenge or not. We can't wait around. We're going to get a look at it. Man, credit to Vladimir Ballantine for busting his tail with 2 outs.
And by the way, too, Ballantine had those extra steps because it is a 3-2 count. So he was taken off from first base. If it was any other count, he would still be right around the second base mark. But, yeah, you mentioned it, too. It's a 37-year-old understanding that, you know what, I'm going to go hard here. And now they're going to figure out. You heard the Netherlands bench talking about they can't get access to the replay. They are going to challenge it.
Man, I think Christian Bethencourt got that tag down on the left shoulder of Vladimir Ballantine before his left hand went down. Yeah, that is close, but
you saw Ballantine trying to plead his case to replay it. Yeah, I think he got the tag on him.
What a tag. And the out call is confirmed. So Alan Cordova losing that ball in the sun, but able to make up for it. We're headed to the third in a scoreless game inside Jump. Adventurous play a moment ago for Panama left fielder Alan Cordova, lost a flare down the left field line in the sun and was still able to recover in time to put an absolute rope into the glove of Christian Bethencourt, who slaps the tag on Vladimir Ballantine and saves the first run of the afternoon.
Yeah, when the sky is like this, you mentioned the fact it is hazy. You only have to lose it for a split second, then all of a sudden you see that ball drop.
Left side, gobbled up by Bogarts. Yadiel Santamaria retired, 1 up, 1 down.
Oh, there's no more lonelier feeling than when you look up in the sky and you're like, I cannot find that ball. Especially when you see Ballantine chugging around the line. And a couple things to think about too for Vladimir Ballantine. Number one, it's a 3-2 count. So he's taken off from first base regardless. But the presence of mind to keep motoring around those bases. Remember, he's 37 years old, and usually you kind of give up on that as you're around third base. But the third base coach for the Netherlands, I guarantee he's probably screaming out, hey, look, he's lost it, he's lost it. Just keep chugging around, but not only that, the Cordova to come up throwing absolute missile for a strike. Finish the play.
Cordova in the batter's box now, converted shortstop, so the arm strength has always been there for Alan Cordova. Bocas, Panama native. Alan Cordova has answered the bell in every conceivable opportunity for Panama to play for his country as he grounds this one over to Simmons at third. And man, made that very close at first, hustling up the line, but he is retired.
See how comfortable that man is. Anthony Simmons, we have seen this year after year. Gold glove defense. He knows he's got speed getting down the line. Sets his feet. Throws a strike to first base.
Didi Gregorius manning first base for this team. It's not something he's done a ton in his professional baseball life, but looks pretty comfortable over there.
Yeah, you'll see more and more of that if he lands back in the big leagues. Transitioning to be one of the corners, especially at first base. Get that bat going.
Gregorius all time as a major leaguer has never started a game at first. Never played a game at first. But his athleticism, the other thing that's really nice about Didi Gregorius for this infield, he's a pretty big target, 6'3", 205. Just always makes you think of that scene in Moneyball. It's not hard, tell him watch. It's incredibly hard to learn how to play first base. But when you've got the aptitude of a fielder like Didi Gregorius does, it's something that probably comes along fairly fluidly.
You ever notice though when actors try and play baseball players, you know, some of the athleticism starts to lack them? Tell you what, Chris Pratt, good job.
I was going to say Chris Pratt didn't make you believe. Chris Pratt has gone from playing Scott Hatterberg to being Andy in Parks and Rec, then being in the Jurassic World movies, and now he's just Mario? He's just Super Mario now? What? What is that career arc?
Yeah, just and now, and by the way, he went from being kind of, you know.
Yeah. Let's put it this way.
Carrying a few extra pounds.
He went from looking like me to looking like you.
I was not implying that. He's shredded. Washington native, by the way, from the Seattle area. But when you watch those actors and they're obviously playing baseball, you critique a little bit more. But there's been a couple of guns I'm going to give to Tom Selleck, Mr. Baseball, if you remember that. He had a nice swing. Kevin Costner didn't look too bad. But the rest of them, Charlie Sheen wasn't too bad either. Wildman.
Very true.
There's been some, no business getting on a baseball field and trying to act out a baseball player.
There have been some actors, of course, who have played professional baseball. Kurt Russell, a member of the formerly heralded independent Portland Mavericks, subject of the Netflix documentary, The Battered Bastards of Baseball. Bethencourt stands in. 2 outs, the walk for Jonathan Arauz. He is over at first base now.
It's around that time when Panama started to wake up offensively. Took him that first time through the lineup, nothing doing, then all of a sudden, second time through, did all the damage. This man right here, Christian Bethencourt, he looks absolutely dialed in, spraying the ball all over the field. It's a big opportunity here too. See that pitch count start to creep up, 46 pitches. Martis, who's been outstanding up to this point.
Christian Bethencourt, you see his former prospect status in that Atlanta system when he was signed by the guy who is now his manager with his Panama team, Luis Ortiz. I remember watching Christian Bethencourt as a really young player as he charges this one down the left field line, and watching it go, that is a foul ball. Bethencourt, even watching him when he was 19 years old in the Carolina League in 2011, the thing that I remember thinking about Christian Bethencourt is he just looked calmly in command, always. And that play at the plate a moment ago is the perfect example of it. No panic, makes the catch, slaps the tag down, immediately looks at Larry Vanover, knew he got the out off the field. He just has such a quiet, confident command over the game, which, as a catcher, is what you're dying for a team.
That's a big situation right here for Chiron Martis. 2-strike pitch, third inning. Closing, probably going to close out this outing. They can try and get him back out in the fourth against the meat of this order.
And if he can get it on this next pitch, he's only out 1 day of rest, not 4 days of rest. 2-2. Got it. Right on cue, Chiron Martis gets the strikeout of Christian Bethencourt and strands a man at first. We will head to the bottom of the third inning. Panama and the Netherlands scoreless. Second tie Jung. It's a scoreless game going to the bottom of the third inning. The Netherlands National Baseball Federation rebranded a couple of years ago to be known as the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And to give you a full scope, this is why Aruba, Curaçao, and Sint Maarten, which produce a lot of baseball talent, they only account for 2% of the land area of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. But we'll take a look at how much of this roster is comprised of guys from those islands. And it is very impressive. A squad that does rely on some players from the mainland, 10 on this squad, but otherwise 23 of the group from the Kingdom of the Netherlands. A bouncing ball over to first is off the foot of Yadiel Santa Maria. And Jerickson Profar is aboard with the leadoff single on the infield here in the third.
All of a sudden, the defense is starting to show a couple cracks here from Panama. You cannot afford to give up outs against this lineup. If they start getting going, all of a sudden those bats get longer. Rips into that bullpen if you're Panama. Just right under the glove, got that foot. Santa Maria. If you look at that graphic there with this Netherlands team, and Hensley Mullins, that's a busy man. I mean, he's got a major league coaching job. He's also going to manage, obviously, he's very well invested into building baseball, not only in the Caribbean, whether it be Aruba, Curaçao, and the islands, but also too in Europe. It was interesting, he mentioned the fact that he hadn't been back to Amsterdam, but they do have a big operation there for the European side of the Netherlands since 2014. Got back there, and half this roster, essentially, a lot of the pitchers are made up from Holland, coming from Holland. Half the roster coming from the Caribbean.
Roger Bernardina grounded out to second base. Had the plate with Profar on. It was really interesting to hear Hensley Mullins talk about seeing the development this time around in the Netherlands compared to the last time he was there 8 years ago. Bernardina grounded right back to Barria. 1-6-3 to gone.
And that's a big double play for so many reasons. Number one, it stops the momentum. If you're Jaime Barria, you can take a breath. You know that pitching count. You cannot help in these situations keep glancing over your shoulder at the scoreboard when you're watching that pitch count. You're trying to give your team as much as you can. There's that changeup. Talked a lot about that. Getting that weak ground ball.
So with 2 away, it brings in Xander Bogarts, who singled to the left side in his first trip to the plate.
Bullpen getting ready for Panama. And there's another question, too. You got 44 pitches. You're approaching 50. Is this a situation that first of all, you're thinking about potentially bringing Jaime Barria back later on in this tournament if you need him? Obviously, Panama is going to essentially need him if they lose today as well. Nothing game. Or do you try and stretch him out? Try and get him to 65 pitches. And the other aspect of this as well, you also have to get on the phone and ask the Angels front office, hey, listen, we've got your guy here, one of you guys. You okay if we use him on short rest?
2 balls and 2 strikes now on Bogarts.
You see the pitch limits there. Obviously, the 80 pitches, much easier to manage that pitching staff, but you look at the 65. Such a challenge, especially if you're a country that just doesn't have the same kind of depth, same kind of bullpen makeup as some of the bigger countries.
Full count now on the 3-hole hitting Netherlands shortstop.
And with that being said, this is a huge out for Jaime Barria. Yes, I know there's no one on base, 3-2 count, but if you're Jaime Barria, essentially trying to sneak under that 50-pitch threshold.
And Bogarts will force a 50th pitch. So where Chiron Martis was able to get out of his third inning at exactly 49 pitches, Barria is going to have to deal another one. And that will remove him from action for the remainder of this opening round. But he has done some great work today for Panama. 3-2 pitch. Rounded foul.
There it is. Now I think if you're Luis Ortiz, you just try and ride it out as much as you can into that 4.
Yeah, it's true at this point after exceeding 50 pitches.
Right.
Now you know you've got another 15 to work with, and especially if you can get a quick out here, the next pitch or two against Xander Bogarts, and it sets you up to potentially work through the fourth in a very economical inning if you can. Another beautiful day here on the island of Taiwan. 3-2. Bogarts drives it well to left. We'll see what the wind does with this one. Going back on it is Cordova on the wall! And the first home run to left field that we've seen in a day game belongs to who else? Xander Bogaerts. 1-0 Netherlands in the third.
And we talked about Xander Bogaerts trying to wake up offensively. Obviously, he's put up massive numbers in his major league career, but not a whole lot happening in a Netherlands uniform. And this is that slider from Jaime Barria. This is that pitch that's been problematic all afternoon. Just kind of hanging up there, cement mixer, hanging up there just enough and beating that wind. Xander Bogaerts gets his boys in the lead.
99.8 miles an hour off the bat, and Luis Ortiz will go out and grab the ball from his starter, Jaime Barria. And Barria obviously disappointed. But look at that smile from Luis Ortiz saying, hey man, you gave us 2 2/3 terrific innings. This is a one-run game as you leave right now. Impressive work from Jaime Barria. Xander Bogaerts gets his team onto the board. Panama going to the bullpen here in the third. We knew through the first couple days of this 2023 Classic here in Taichung that in the day games it was going to be very difficult to leave the yard to left field, but Xander Bogaerts made it happen as he crushes a solo shot out to send Jaime Barria to the third base dugout, and the Netherlands with a 1-0 lead here in the third as Barria gives way to the bullpen. Now Alberto Guerrero.
Yeah, not a whole lot of launch angle on that ball, but crush. That was a slider. We talked about that too. I mean, that was a pitch that was giving him the most issues. Not being able to land that pitch. See Cordova, everything he can, just running out of real estate. You look at the way that ball was hit too, Tyler. Maybe staying below that wind tunnel a little bit. You get it up high enough, you launch that ball high enough, wind will knock it down, but that ball stayed really flat. Got plenty to get out over this the stadium.
Xander Bogaerts now 4 for 6, a homer, 2 doubles, and a single all-time against Jaime Barria. And Alberto Guerrero, who spent last season, as you saw, Double-A Harrisburg in the Washington Nationals system. Deals a walk to Didi Gregorius. So, leadoff single for Jerickson Profar in this inning. 1-6-3 double play ball off the bat of Roger Bernardino right behind him. It was bases empty, 2 gone, and now homer, pitching change, walk. Now bring up Jonathan Scope.
Take a look at Alberto Guerrero. We talked about testing that depth, the Panamanian pitching stuff. Look at this fastball, changeup, slider. Get good velocity. Pitching backwards a lot here. A lot of sliders right now.
Guerrero spent the 2022-23 Winter League season with the Tomateros of Culiacan in the Mexican Pacific Winter League. That's a place I have not been and have heard nothing but the ravest of rave reviews about that ballpark, the Tomateros home park in Culiacan. Former Marlins prospect. Last season in the Nationals system. Jonathan Scope gets a piece. Count is 1-2 on it. Alberto Guerrero did pitch in the World Baseball Classic qualifiers in Panama back in October. One appearance for his team against Argentina on October 1st. 1 inning. Perfect work for him. Jonathan Scope, that hard hit line drive out to Jose Caballero in the first inning. Trying to continue this 2-out push in the third.
Get away with one right there. Fastball middle. Going to keep it at 1-0. This is a fastball middle of the plate. Good run on that ball. Struggled a little bit this year in Double-A. See a slider trying to execute this pitch down and away.
Good battle here from Scope. Fouling pitches away in the bottom of the third. Xander Bogaerts, 2-out solo homer just a moment ago. Getting his team out in front. Netherlands with some timely knocks over the first 2 days of this World Baseball Classic. Guerrero's time in the minor leagues. You see, for any players who have been in the minor leagues over the last 5 years or so, their seasons go up to 2019 and then start again in 2021. Remember, there was no minor league season in 2020. Still places this one out on a few hops to Caballero, who goes the short route for the out, and that will retire the side. But Xander Bogaerts leaves the yard to left, and the Netherlands has the lead as we take this game into the fourth at Tycoon. Welcome back to the 2023 World Baseball Classic with former Major League pitcher and two-time World Baseball Classic veteran Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Mon here in Taichung, Taiwan at the Intercontinental Baseball Stadium for our continued coverage of Pool A as day number 2, game number 3 of 10 arrives here in Taiwan. And first pitch swinging, a foul ball off the bat of Los Angeles Dodgers prospect Jose Ramos. And it is no balls and a strike. Somewhat of a surprise, Ryan. Chiron Martis is back out there. He ended the third inning at 49 pitches. So in the event that Hensley Mullins wanted to bring him back, he could do so after tomorrow being the day of rest because he was under 50 pitches. That is now out the window. So they're going to ride Martis up to that 65 pitch threshold.
Well, kind of gives you an idea of some of the depth too with the Netherlands. We saw some good bullpen performances yesterday. There's a couple guys that came in. The pitching was outstanding, but Martis, we've talked so much about Jaime Brewer in the beginning of this game, but Martis has been absolutely automatic, getting good counts.
Got to look over there a second ago into the dugout to yesterday's Netherlands starter, Tom de Blok, who did really great work to wriggle out of jams early, battling nerves. He walked 4, but he limited Cuba to just 1 run. Former Tigers prospect.
The other thing to factor in too, we talk a lot about pitch counts, but the Netherlands have the day off tomorrow. Therefore, if you do run out the same guys, the same backing guys we saw yesterday.
Ramos tried to hold up and can't do so. He's gone on strikes.
That's a big out. Right there, you get the lead. All of a sudden you shut down Jose Ramos, one of the most explosive hitters in this lineup. Right there, Bert Blyleven. When he's getting out of the starting pitcher. But another aspect as well is the Netherlands have a huge advantage having the day off tomorrow. Therefore, because you have the fact that you do throw back-to-back days, you can have the day off. A lot of the guys we saw yesterday don't have the same kind of restrictions coming from affiliated baseball. So they're in a good spot. If you can get Martis through this 4th inning, you're in really good shape.
Ruben Tejada stands in. Tejada, one of the 4 strikeout victims today against Chiron Martis. Skies that one foul. First base side.
And what's been so impressive, we talked about 17 years since we first saw Chiron Martis and then his time in the big leagues, 2008, 2009. What's changed in that 17 years, obviously it doesn't have the same stuff as you age out of throwing that good velocity and everything else, but the ability to get back into counts. Just like that. You go 1-0, next thing you know he's 1-1, then he's back to 1-2. We have seen so many 0-2 and 1-2 counts. Give yourself a really good chance against any hitter you face.
Those numbers in the Dutch majors last year, that whip of 0.69. Martis has pitched over a lot of stops in his career.
And you think if you pulled out a 1.22 ERA, you'd be number 1, but third.
Former big leaguer in 2008 and 2009 with the Washington Nationals. Returned to the big leagues after a 4-year absence with the Minnesota Twins in 2013. Martis now nearing the twilight stage of his baseball career, and he gives up a liner down the left field line to another former big leaguer, and it is a 1-out double for Ruben Tejada, who pulls into second base as the potential tying run here in the 4th.
Hensley Mullins has to start spinning those wheels a little bit. How he's going to match this up. This could be a big moment. We saw Panama how good they are offensively, especially second, third time through the lineup. There's too much plate with 2 strikes.
brings up Luis Castillo.
I think right here, Luis Castillo, you have to go after him. Try and get to a good count. If you don't, you can slip back 1-0, 2-0. You have that open base. You face Caballero right after him.
Luis, another former Detroit Tigers prospect. He's from Agua Dulce, which is where our good friend from the WBC qualifiers, Carlos Lee, currently lives, a Panamanian baseball legend. Maybe tuned in on that big ranch in Agua Dulce. Pitch on the way to Castillo.
Yeah, you see he's been very careful with that open base. Not giving in. Kind of like, as a pitcher, you know this is kind of like your last chance. And not just obviously knowing that your pitch count's coming to the end of its rope, but even in the at bat, you go 2-0, you're like, all right, I'm not going to give in here. If I can get a swing. Yeah, so he throws that change up, now it's 3-0. Simply pitch around, I'll probably make a change. And you face Caballero with the force runner.
3 balls and no strikes on Luis Castillo. Grooved in there, and that'll bring us to pitch number 65. So again, you are able to exceed that 65 pitch limit if you're in the middle of an at-bat, but this will be the last man that Chiron Martis will face. Is outside for ball 4. So the second walk issued by Martis brings him to the end of his day. And the Netherlands will make a change before Erasmo Caballero steps into the batter's box. So it's first and second now with 1 out as Hensley Mullins goes to get the ball from his starter. But 3 1/3 stellar innings from Chiron Martis. And the Netherlands will go to the bullpen. We will step aside for a pause and tell you about the new arm when we return. 1-0 Netherlands out in front.
Chiron Martis was outstanding. We saw him pitch in the original World Baseball Classic. You've got to ask yourself, if the Netherlands cannot continue to the next round, was that the last pitch we've ever seen him in a Netherlands uniform? I think the difference is today, obviously not the same stuff, not the same velocity, but the ability to command more than one pitch was huge. Getting in good counts, getting to 1-2, and really not giving this Panamanian team any wiggle room in regards to pitches to hit. He was good, just couldn't quite finish it off at last at bat against Luis Castillo.
So the new arm into the game for the Netherlands is the right-hander Mike Bolzenbroek out of Apeldoorn in the Netherlands. He pitches in the German Bundesliga.
Yes.
Heidenheim Heidekamp.
6'8", Mike Bolzenbroek. Look at those numbers, 386. Pitched affiliated baseball a long time ago, back in 2010. It's a big situation right here for Bolzenbroek on this stage again. And this is where you start to test that depth from the Netherlands team. And remember, they do have the day off tomorrow. You'll see some of the same arms you saw yesterday coming out of that bullpen.
Mike Bolzenbroek was drafted 3 times in the earlier stage of his baseball life. All of them in rounds that no longer exist in the Major League draft. Taken by the White Sox in the 41st round in 2006. By the White Sox again in the 26th round in 2007. And then by the Philadelphia Phillies in the 42nd round in 2008. Santa Ana College, Santa Ana, California, where he pitched his collegiate ball. And the guy who has made a living around the world pitching a bunch of various stops, and a good pitch there, but he didn't get a chase from Erasmo Caballero.
It's always a tough look when you have a guy who's 6'8", different angles, different approach angle on that ball as it gets to the plate.
1-2. Caballero out to short. Stabbed there. Flipped to second by Bogarts and scoped to first in time for an inning-ending 6-4-3 double play. Fantastic work by that Netherlands infield. That's going to become a common refrain throughout this World Baseball Classic as Bozenbroek gets out of the jam. We are headed to the bottom of the fourth in a 1-0 Dutch lead. Big pitch in a big spot to get out of the fourth inning by Mike Bozenbroek, who gets a 6-4-3 double play ball off the bat of Erasmo Caballero.
Yeah, this slider hung up in the strike zone, but just enough of a speed differential to get on in front of that plate, in front of that bat, get a huge double play. Martis, absolutely loving that. He looked really good. We spent so much time on Jaime Barria. Chiron Martis, he appreciates that. Nothing better when your guy can come out the bullpen, leave a couple runners on, they can shut it down.
Guy out in front of the dugout was Profar. Might have loved it even more than Martis did.
And yeah. But Bozenbroek in this situation, job for him is bridge the gap, get to that sixth inning. You got the guys who pitched yesterday, Florinus, close it out. You got Kevin Kelly, Vanderherp, that's that back end of that bullpen. See Valentin going down on strikes. If you can get to those arms, you have the day off tomorrow, you're in good shape.
Vladimir Valentin, that thing looking like a beach ball when it came out of the hand of Alberto Guerrero, but Valentin unable to catch up to it, so strikeout number 1 for Guerrero, number 2 today for Panama pitching, and now Josh Palacios out to short. Given Tejada. Eats that one up, 2 gone.
You talk about getting to those bullpen arms, but you are never safe. And we've seen this from Panama, obviously in the qualifiers, but yesterday they can bust out at any moment. It took them a little bit to wake up offensively. We're starting to see glimpses of it. This Netherlands team, they want to add on big time.
Ryan, you come from a country in which your national team has tried to break through with these big-time wins.
Right.
For Panama, how much confidence does yesterday breed? Because there's this cloud that sort of hangs over the fact that, you know, Panama was in the first 2 classics, but an automatic entrant. There were no qualifiers for the 2006 and 2009 classics. In 2012 and 2016, they failed to qualify, got to the final, didn't make it through for the 13 or 17 classics. And not only that, but 0-5 coming in. They'd only scored 7 combined runs. Yesterday, you sort of announced to the world, but maybe more so announced to your team, all right, we belong here.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't put any more of an exclamation point on last night for them beating Chinese Taipei here with that crowd, the noise, the anticipation. And you mentioned the layoff they've had on this stage, but I think for them, when you're looking at this, it's the 4th inning. You have got plenty of time. The minute you start pressing in the batter's box, you try and force the issue, you're going to all of a sudden give away some cheap outs. Just got to be patient and know that everyone in this lineup has the ability to do some damage.
3 balls and a strike now on Andrelton Simmons, who flew out to center field in the 2nd inning. A hit yesterday, a deep fly out to just in front of the warning track, out to that graveyard that is left field during the day games here in Taichung.
Now, if you win last night by a score of 1-0, and you're like, oh, the offense is frozen a little flat. Now, I've been in those situations plenty of times with Team Australia. It's always been a struggle to score runs. Pitching with Team Australia has always been pretty decent, but scoring runs on the other side of it has been a challenge. But I think when you put up 12 runs like you did, and the guy behind you has the ability to drive someone in, or they look dialed in, or whatever it may be, they look comfortable at the box, that helps immensely.
Guerrero trying to come all the way back against Simmons, and does so from 3-0 to a strikeout. And Alberto Guerrero fans 2 in the 4th. We're headed to the top of the 5th inning in a good one here in Taichung. The National Theater close by. Some good baseball, dramatics with it here in Taiwan. Panama, that big win yesterday, trailing this game 1-0, and a look at the 2022 big leaguers born in Panama. There are a couple of names on this list who are not on this roster, but you're going to hear a lot about as this season goes along. Ivan Herrera, Edmundo Sosa, Johan Camargo as well. Herrera was a big loss for this team. They were really excited to have the Cardinals catching prospect on this roster. He was a late retraction from this group, but you got a guy like Christian Bethancourt. Still feel pretty good about him behind the plate, the way he calls and commands a game. But there is a lot of talent in the major leagues from Panama, and a lot of talent to come. As the leadoff man here in the top of the 5th inning is Jose Caballero out of the 8th spot. This is just so much fun, man. Looking at that dugout on the third base side, guys are having a great time. Same on the first base side, that Netherlands group with the lead here in the top of the 5th. The school kids today having a blast. You and I having a blast. Baseball under the sun in March. 1-0 lead on day number 2 of the Festival of Baseball, the World Baseball Classic.
And usually when you're playing one of these, you usually come back the next time, you know, because you have such a good experience. You see Panama across that jersey right there. Everyone has that common denominator.
It's going to be a tough play right side. And Jonathan Scope able to make it on that slow roller. 1 up, 1 down. Talking about this with Jake Fox, who works on the scoring side for Major League Baseball this morning at breakfast. You look back on that first World Baseball Classic, and honestly, it was somewhat of a gamble. And it was a passion project for Bud Selig, who loved the international game, wanted to spread the international game, but it was a gamble to put together the World Baseball Classic with no guarantee of success. What has created the success for this event over its first 5 editions, and you're a perfect example of this, is when you get players in, they love the experience, and it's the players who recruit other players via their experience. You know, I remember in 2017, the United States winning at Dodger Stadium and Bryce Harper live tweeting that game, and Mike Trout saying, all right, I got to be on this roster next time out. Xander Bogaerts has been part of this group for the Kingdom of the Netherlands the last couple of classics. That's how this event has taken root in the game of baseball. The players who play in it have such an incredible experience that they go back to their teammates when we all return to spring training, and they're the ones to say, oh no, you got to do this if you can. What a play by Xander Bogaerts, deep in the hole, and the cannon to first to get Santa Maria.
And this is absolute effortless from Xander Bogaerts. Didi Gregorius. He's done that a few times before, ever in the shortstop position. This just kind of drops down, doesn't rush, doesn't panic. Plenty of time, sets his feet, easy throw to first. Didi's scooping as well on the other side. Just arm strength too from the left side of that infield. Anthony Simmons, Xander Bogaerts.
So now we go back to the top of the order for Panama and Alan Cordoba.
And you mentioned it too, Tyler. I mean, the fact that it's a commitment, especially when you're in a pool like this, Pool A or even Pool B over in Tokyo. It's in a situation where you have to leave camp, your regular routine, something you've been doing year in, year out, whether you're in big league camp, minor league camp, have to pick up, you have to communicate with your team and say, listen, I want to go and represent my country, fly across the Pacific Ocean. It's tough. I know for me, there's situations, 2009, I had to bail out. I had to make that team for the Mariners, had a really good year in the starting rotation. I wanted to be in that rotation, and they said, listen, if we want to get a good look at you, new coaching staff, you have to stick around. It's tough. It's a tough call.
2-out walk for Alan Cordoba. It also feels like over the last 10 years or so, the last 2 editions of the Classic, let's say, I think major league organizations have become a lot more open to letting players go. Early on, there was some skepticism as to why would I let my guys go, take part in these games? Are they going to be ramped up? Is it going to be too much in March? All of that. Over the last couple of editions of the Classic, teams have become so invested in this event, and that's brought the quality of play to an even higher level.
For sure.
It's the greatest international baseball tournament for a reason, but it keeps getting better every time out.
Yeah. And you think about, okay, the month of March is the 2006 World Baseball Classic. You're like, this is kind of a suspect time to do it, but there's really no other time to do it when you think about it. Obviously, you're not going to interrupt the Major League season. It's too hard to do that in the middle of the season. After the season, no chance. There's really no other time to do it, except for when these guys are all gearing up for the season in spring training.
Jonathan Arauz, 1-1 count on him.
And you mentioned some of the adjustments that teams and front offices have made, the league has made, and the players union have made to make sure that these players are ready to go. You know, a couple of adjustments, getting to camp earlier. You go back to the early days, 2006, 2009, wasn't the case at all.
You know, we talked with Adam Jones about this in Germany. The United States winning, and specifically Adam Jones's catch in that game at Petco Park in San Diego, a San Diego native playing against a future Padre as the runner-off from first and a head-first slide. Alan Cordoba makes it in safely ahead of the tag, and hopefully Cordoba is all right. Kind of an awkward slide. Not sure if he jammed his hand or maybe got the wind knocked out of him.
Tell you what, Cordoba, last couple days, index finger trying to bunt yesterday, ball off the toe, slide into second base. And he's going to earn it here at the World Baseball Classic. He's just kind of getting jammed up, with the oven mitt on.
Great slide by Cordoba, especially being able to keep that hand on the bag.
Big moment right here for Panama too. 1-0 game, runner in scoring position.
Mike Bosenbrook got 2 quick outs to start the 5th. A walk and the stolen base now, and a big chance for Arauz. 2-2.
One thing Panama was so good at last night against Chinese Taipei was hitting with 2 strikes. They never gave up on an at-bat. A little different today, some good contact. They're just not getting the same barrel as they were getting yesterday. Big pitch right here from Mike Bosenbrook.
3 hits and 3 walks today for Panama. Trying to finally cash one in. Left a man on in each of their 4 innings so far. So veteran Bosenbrook trying to get his team back to the bat rack. 2-2. Did so.
First strikeout for Mike Bosenbrook. And the Netherlands carries a 1-0 lead into the bottom of the 5th. Headed to the bottom of the 5th inning at the 2023 World Baseball Classic Pool A, game number 3, in a place that we fell in love with last September and October. Panama played host to Pool B qualifying play. Just a shockingly gorgeous place. We got a chance to visit the canal.
Right.
Saw some of the wildlife, some of the beautiful rainforest. Did not go to the top of Volcan Baru. Now Ryan ran up to the top of it every morning.
Correct.
Took a car out there, sprinted up and back before game 1. It was incredible.
Nice little warm-up before they started with you, having to deal with you all day.
That was the least challenging part of your day. Running up the volcano is the least challenging part of your day. How about that, though? You can see the sunrise and sunset over both oceans from the same vantage point. Pretty amazing. As the leadoff man for the Kingdom of the Netherlands here in the bottom of the 5th inning is Chadwick Trump. Out there going to work for his squad to get things rolling against Alberto Guerrero. Was Guerrero rocking the shades his first 2 innings? Did I just miss that?
The prescription's on, but
The Ryan Roland Smiths?
yeah, able to have some tint on those lenses. I like it.
1-2, swung on and missed. Good start to the 5th. As 3 Ks in the last 4 batters that Guerrero has faced. Out number 1.
And Guerrero's dialed in that good slider of his and that fastball. Nice and flat. Got that run too. He's got that conviction with that pitch, just attacking hitters in these 2-strike counts. See that ball just running them in on the hands.
Look at these numbers from this Panama pitching staff. They only had to play 16 innings in the qualifier, had one early termination victory and one 9-inning victory over Argentina and Brazil, respectively. And they have been outstanding so far here through their first game and a half in Taiwan. Pitch number 30 now into the bank for Alberto Guerrero, so he is slated for a day off tomorrow. And a big drive out to right by Jerickson. Profar, good night.
This ball absolutely crushed by Jerickson Profar. No doubt a slider hanging up in the middle of the plate. Pushing the ball, getting out of left field, but no doubt getting out of right field. Look at that. Fired up. Teammates just oozing out of that dugout.
Third career World Baseball Classic homer for Jerickson Profar, 100 miles an hour off the bat. And really, we talked so much about how the ball flies better to right. That's the first well-crushed ball we've seen to right through the first 2.5 games. Man, Profar got all of that. And a couple of solo home runs have given the Netherlands the first 2 runs of the day.
A changeup. Ball out over the plate. Jerickson Profar, eyes lit up the minute he saw that pitch. Absolute no doubter.
I'm a big fan of the celebration from that first base dugout. The thing that I love most about the World Baseball Classic, which I think everybody loves most, and I think the World Baseball Classic has done the most to start the conversation over the last couple of decades of, to borrow a phrase, let the kids play. These guys have so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun in this tournament. That organized celebration, all the guys coming out of the first base dugout. Profar styling for the camera. Roger Bernardina, big hop out on the ground a second. Arauz will retire him. 2 gone. But there is a reason that this is now known as the Festival of Baseball. This is it's a party for these teams.
It's pretty hard to believe too, that man right there, Jerickson Profar, still a free agent. But you talk about some of that team chemistry, it is so organic when you're all wearing that country across your chest. We'll have that common denominator.
I don't think that free agent status is going to last for long. Jerickson Profar last year played in a ton of games for the Padres, played a very big role for a team that was able to finally move past the Dodgers in the National League postseason. And really now enters 2023 is probably the favorite in that National League West again. Which, when was the last time you looked at the NL West and thought a team other than the Dodgers was the prohibitive favorite? Dodgers a little bit quieter offseason than what the Padres have done. But that is going to be a thrilling race to watch this year between those 2 teams. The Giants, the D-backs, trying to get their pieces put together as well.
Yeah, the Padres are not messing around every offseason. They feel like they're just always in on every play. This man right here, Xander Bogarts, getting into those winter meetings in December.
Pitch down in the dirt to Bogarts. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Got to be careful with him. Xander Bogarts leaving the yard his last trip to the plate. We talked about his struggles the first couple of World Baseball Classics. Today, after we talked about him, single in the first inning, solo homer in the third. And on the ground, out to second. And that will retire the side. Easy play out there for Arauz, at least on the back end with the throw. The ball hit so hard, Bogarts didn't really have a whole lot of time to try to beat it out at first. And we will head into the 6th. Jerickson Profar doubles his team's lead. Back in
Courtside Jung, tonight we will have more Pool A action for you from right here in Intercontinental Baseball Stadium. Team Italy, led by manager Mike Piazza, and the Italian Nightmare Vinny Pasquantino will kick off their tournament as they square off against Juan Moncada, Luis Robert Jr., and Team Cuba. 7 o'clock start time, local time here. 6 a.m. Eastern time on the United States calendar.
We get our first look at the Dark Knight, Matt Harvey, returning to the big stage. I cannot wait to see what he has in store, how he looks these days. Up against Cuba.
Trying to resurrect his career against a really talented lineup that yesterday scuffled a little bit. I mean, good pitching from the Netherlands in that 4-2 victory yesterday. And Mike Bolsenbroek trying to keep his team's stellar performance on the mound going here in the top of the 6th as he goes to work against the 3-hole hitter, the catcher, Christian Bethencourt.
You know, we talked about this in the 4th inning. Bolsenbroek, after Martis was done, has to bridge the gap to get to the back end of this bullpen. They have the day off tomorrow, so these guys can throw back-to-back days. You're going to see them 7th, 8th, and 9th. Kelly, Vanderherp, Florinus. Right now, Kevin Kelly is warming up in that Netherlands bullpen as we speak. It's a big inning right here for the 6th for Bolsenbroek.
Popped up. Foul ground first base side. Gregorius making it look way too easy for a guy playing first base. Really for the first time on a stage like this. Puts it away.
That's a big out, number 1. Get that first out. Look at Didi Gregorius. Mention the fact he never played first base. Major League game, here he is. Over that left shoulder. Different angles too when you're playing on this side of the infield.
Right.
Like he's just making that look so easy. Big smile on his face.
You know, we mentioned tonight Vinny Pasquantino, he'll lead Team Italy into its first game against Cuba. As you take a look into that Netherlands bullpen. That's Kevin Kelly going to work. Kevin Kelly threw yesterday. Dealt an inning for his team. Vinny Pasquantino is as gregarious and lovable a guy as currently exists in baseball. He's got a slew of good nicknames, and the one that we noted a moment ago, the Italian Nightmare, that was given to him by George Brett. It's a grounder over to third. Hamilton Simmons, low throw, and that one scoots over the glove of Gregorius. And that will allow Jose Ramos to reach.
Indeed, just trying to get that hot volley. Simmons took a little bit off that throw. Kind of mistimed a little bit. You can see just kind of throwing a changeup over the first base. Didi's just not able to get that pick, especially with that runner boring down you like that as well. It's a tough play.
Let's see how that one goes. Scored. That will be an infield single for Jose Ramos. So, 1 out, man on. 2-0 deficit for Panama. Ruben Tejada, the 9-year major leaguer, takes ball 1.
Yeah, look at that shortstop. 1,000+ game second base, got 11, third base 2. So think about all that time on the left side of the infield. Nothing at first base. Amazing when you think about it too, you know. You can slide over there, maybe an injury or something. Or at least get 1 rep. Here he is.
And again, Didi Gregorius, a guy who was tasked with the impossible task of taking over the shortstop position in New York after the retirement of Derek Jeter, and really became a guy that I think Yankees fans admired for what he did. As Tejada gets into one, into left. Jerickson Profar there for the out. Well, Ryan and I were in Regensburg, Germany for the 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifiers. A decade earlier, the guy who is on the mound right now for the Netherlands, Mike Bolsenbroek, he pitched in those qualifiers for Germany. Mike Bolsenbroek pitching in the German Bundesliga. He got to work for Germany. Made the start versus the Czech Republic, team that came out of that qualifier in 2022. His final line got the win, 5 1/3, 5 hits, 1 run, not earned, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. Lone run came on an error by his first baseman on a pickoff attempt.
He did pitch for the Kingdom of the Netherlands in 2017 in the Classic. Made a couple of starts, combined 3 1/3 innings, 2 strikeouts, no walks, and 3 scoreless innings out of the bullpen against Chinese Taipei. We look back on that performance for Germany in the 2013 WBC qualifiers, which took place in 2012. It is a pretty incredible game that takes people a lot of amazing places, and Mike Holzenbrook has been one of those who has gotten to take his life around the world doing what he loves, trying to get his team back into the dugout. 0-2. Loops down the right field line, a long run, that's going to get down. Ramos is headed for third. Ramos slid into second and then had to pop up and head to third, and with 2 outs, I think his third base coach Vicente Garibaldo is kind of like, hey man, you got to keep moving there.
Yeah, that was interesting. I don't know if he would have had enough time to come around and score. Nonetheless, though, with 2 outs, you have to take advantage. So Valentin hustling around third base. Yeah, he did slow down once he got around second base.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't a full slide, but yeah, just kind of took the...
Just kind of stopped. Maybe just wasn't quite sure where the ball was, or forgot how many outs there were. That's the situation. You hustle and give yourself a chance. There's a bobble out there, you could essentially score, but Panama's in business right here. The 6th inning, we talked about getting to the back end of that bullpen for the Netherlands. It's a big opportunity for them.
You know, for Panama, might not be a ton of hits up on the board right now. They have equaled the Netherlands hit total at 5, but again, a team that has struggled to score runs historically in the Classic, you still have to feel good about the fact they're stringing together some good at-bats if you're Luis Ortiz over in that third base dugout, but now you need a big hit in a big spot. And Erasmo Caballero will try to provide it. 1-0, he swings and punches down left side and is through for a base hit. Erasmo Caballero gets his team on the board. A 2-out RBI single in the 6th. It's back to a 1-run ball game, 2-1, Netherlands leading.
And a broken bat too. Guy the hero able to have enough on that ball to get through this rangy infield past Xander Bogarts. All of a sudden, Panama can take a breath. Cut this lead in half.
Tying run moves into scoring position, and an opportunity now for Jose Caballero.
See that getting on the handle. Broken bat, you'll take it.
Third RBI of the tournament already for Erasmo, who had the 2-run single as part of Panama's 6th-run 6th inning yesterday. Jose Caballero got his team its 2nd run of the day with an RBI single in the 4th inning yesterday. Check that, actually it's 3rd run of the day. He will aim to tie things here in the 6th.
You see Bolsenbrook just struggling with that breaking ball. Number 1 command, but number 2 starting to spin. Start seeing guys 2nd time through, they've seen it enough.
Panamanian League MVP, and Erasmo gets under it in the air to center. And that will do it as Roger Bernardino puts it away. But Panama right back into it. Our score, the deficit cut in half. The Netherlands 2 and Panama 1 going to the bottom of the 6th. With former Major League pitcher and 2-time World Baseball Classic veteran Ryan Roland Smith. I'm Tyler Mon here from Taichung at the Intercontinental Baseball Stadium for our coverage of Pool A. Day 1 of the 2023 Classic yesterday here in Taichung. Day 2 brings the start of Pool B in Tokyo, and we've got kind of an eyebrow raiser. They are headed to the bottom of the 8th inning at the Tokyo Dome. Australia 8 and Korea 4. It was a 1-0 lead for the Aussies going to the bottom of the 4th, 2-0 going to the bottom of the 5th. Korea rallied, put a 3 spot on the board to take the lead in the 5th, added 1 in the 6th. Australia back-to-back 3-run innings in the 7th and 8th to take a 4-run lead to the bottom of the 8th over Korea.
Yeah, this is that game for Team Australia. Now, I did mention earlier in the game, maybe they'll listen. I said the one thing they were struggling to do in all these World Baseball Classics was score runs. But they have broken out. Is this the upset in these pool rounds that we're waiting for? But this was their big priority, to try and get to Korea. Obviously, they got Japan. That's going to be a tough matchup. But then they feel like they can take care of China, take care of Czech Republic. So Australia's in a good spot right now.
8 runs, 10 hits for the Aussies. Didi Gregorius sends this one down the left field line. We talked yesterday about how much of a struggle balls down that line were for everyone, and that one drops between Caballero and Cordoba, and it gives new life to a veteran bat in Didi Gregorius.
Yeah, you can see the frustration. That is Cordoba's priority right there. That's a situation he has to be vocal, calling off his third baseman, Caballero. You see him looking up, kind of stalling a little bit. You have to be charging in hard if you have priority left field. And you cannot give extra pitches, extra chances to this offense here on the Dutch team.
You can see that the shift was on, so it was a long way for Caballero to run, and it brings us to an important note about the 2023 Classic, which is that there are no shift restrictions here like we will see in Major League Baseball this year. 2022 rules in play.
You see him shifting it. Get a good look right there from behind home plate. How much they are shifting. You see the shortstop pulled over to the right side of second base. You will not see that in 2023. But Didi Gregorius with a healthy scout report, plenty of time in the big leagues.
Gregorius gone on strikes, round number 1 of the 6th.
Yeah, I mean, and Cordoba too, look in the second inning. This is another situation where he loses it in the sun. He's got that hesitation about him where all of a sudden he's pulling up on balls. Sometimes when you make a play or you don't make a play early in the game, kind of get stuck in your head, you anchor on that moment, so all of a sudden any ball up in the same kind of spot, you hesitate. You see that a lot with outfielders too. Sometimes you see guys who generically make plays in the gaps. They start to drift a little bit because they're unsure about. Get a look at it right here as well. Just kind of that hesitation. Again, as a left fielder, and he knows this, he'll be the first to tell you, you have to be charging hard in on that ball until you get called off.
Jonathan Scope 0 for 2 to start his second game of the Classic. Comes in tight on him. 2 balls and a strike.
For Panama, chance to cut that lead in half. Such a close game. They're going to have to get to Kevin Kelly in the 7th inning. And I'll see the same back end that we saw yesterday against Cuba.
Grounded out to short. Ruben Tejada across the diamond, 2 down.
Panama to Guerrero holds it down. Severino Gonzalez, you saw him yesterday.
Even though Jerickson Profar left the yard with 1 out in the 5th, Alberto Guerrero has retired 9 of the last 10 he has faced. That's the only hit that he's given up.
Yeah, you can't ask for much more. A guy hasn't pitched above Double-A facing this Major League lineup. This man right here, 300 plus home runs in Japan, Vladimir Valentin. He does not get cheated, that is for sure. With that swing. Ever since I was teammates with him when he first came to the big leagues in Seattle back in 2007. Has not changed his approach one bit.
Gets his money's worth. Yeah. Popped up, maybe playable, as Bethencourt will watch that fall into the front row. Bethencourt collided with Larry Vanover. Now hands the mask back to him.
Telling each other, you good? Yeah, I'm good. You good? We're good? Still gonna give me the pitch on the black, or?
Not gonna hold this against me, right?
Yeah. Look at this Vanover just trying to get out of the way right here. Nowhere to go. Look at that big Christian Bethencourt. He's a big catcher too. Trying to do his best to get Vanover on his feet.
Some extra points with the dismount for how long that mask traveled in the air. Good to see Larry Vanover pop back up though, and the 1-2 swung on and missed. So a really strong inning and a really strong day on the mound for Alberto Guerrero, as the man down does no damage for anybody here in this 6th inning. Home plate umpire Larry Vanover taken out in this
vicious hit. Going over the middle, you got to be prepared for linebackers in that spot.
I was going to say, is that a block or a charge? What do you got?
I don't think the feet were set. That's a block.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a block. Rex Chapman would be very proud of us right now for this conversation.
Yes.
Those two checking out each other to make sure they're okay. You know, Chris Bracy, our producer, made a very good point. You're an umpire. You got a lot of equipment to try to maneuver with. I mean, the big polo covers up the chest protector. You got the old school mask on. It's not real easy, especially you're in that awkward dance of, all right, do I go this way or you going that way? Like when two people approach each other on the sidewalk, walking the same path. Not real easy to move.
Yeah, but he's a pro's pro. He played that off. As soon as he hit the deck, straight back up, checking the play, making sure he can make the call if need be.
Very glad you went block or charge.
By the way,
coming out of a college basketball broadcasting season, very glad you went with that. No flop call on that either. There's no technical foul.
Right. No smiles either. You see that all business. Turn around. He's not messing around, Larry Vanna.
You know what I would like to know is who was the last umpire in baseball to go with, you know, the old school pillow they used to hold in front of them? They had like the forearm strap. This is back in like the 1940s. You know, in sports nowadays, we got the, who's the last NHLer to go without a helmet? Who was the last player in football to have a single bar face mask? Who was the last umpire in baseball who held the pillow in front instead of wearing a chest protector? Leadoff ground out by Yadiel Santamaria, and Kevin Kelly retires the first man he faces. 1 up, 1 down. Kevin Kelly yesterday got some work in the win for the Netherlands. Pitched an inning.
Yeah, this is one of those question marks. We know about the offense. We talk a lot about the infield. That's a big storyline for the Netherlands. What do they have in the tank in regards to the bullpen? You look at Kevin Kelly. We've got a good look at him. Pitching was outstanding, by the way, especially the bullpen. Look at this hard-throwing right-hander. Is a multi-inning guy. Probably just going to have the 7th and the 7th only. You'll probably see Vanderhoof right after him. Good formula in the back end of the bullpen. That man right there, Martis. Man, what a performance. Again, I did ask, is this going to be the last time potentially we see him on World Baseball Classic? Pitched in the original. Not many guys can say that. 2006. Didn't just pitch either. I mean, you're talking no-hitter as well against Puerto Rico.
Kevin Kelly carrying on a family legacy here in the World Baseball Classic. His father, Eligio Kelly, played for the Dutch national team. He passed away in 2019. Kevin from Aruba. And interestingly enough, there is a, and you're very familiar with this, as a guy who works with young athletes coming out of Australia, getting them into colleges in the United States, helping to build a pipeline, baseball options. There are certain schools in the United States that seem to have pipelines to certain places.
Right.
And oddly enough, Western Oklahoma State College kind of has a pipeline to players from the islands. There are a handful of guys on this squad who played at Western Oklahoma State, including Kevin Kelly, including Andrelton Simmons. Those two guys were teammates on a squad at Western Oklahoma that won the NJCAA Division II Baseball World Series, junior college level. Another ground out. Kevin Kelly out away from working a clean inning.
See those outs just dwindling for Panama right now. 2 out here in the 7th.
Panama 3 hits last inning, only able to cash in 1 run. Now out hitting the Netherlands 6-5. Misspoke a moment ago. It's Antoine Kelly, who's on this roster, is from Aruba. Kevin Kelly from Curacao. Two winning squads from yesterday's opening day of the 2023 Classic. The winner of this one really takes control. Yeah. You got a stranglehold on one of those 2 berths into the quarterfinals, and this is a huge one, a 1-run game in the 7th.
Yeah, 1 run. Panama are not able to do any damage here before it's all said and done. I'll tell you what, Luis Ortiz, it's exhausting when you're that close to the Netherlands. If it remains this way, 2-1. See, we've got some action going right here in the 7th inning, but it can be exhausting. One of those games where you know you have to run into Cuba later on. Still have to deal with Italy. Ball just looping to the left field. We'll take it when you're Panama right now. Not the same offensive production we saw last night.
Single coming with 2 gone for Jonathan Arauz. So it sets it up for Christian Bethencourt as we enter the heart of the order. Panama looking for a 2-out rally in the 7th.
This is the guy, Christian Bethencourt. If there's one guy in this lineup you want up in a situation with runners on, it's Christian Bethencourt. He has looked the most dialed in this Panamanian lineup. Major league catcher. He's been doing a lot of damage with 2 strikes.
And he'll get another opportunity with 2 strikes here.
This is where a situation you've got to be careful. You see that fastball getting you 2 strikes. Now you really have to execute. Cannot be out over the plate in this situation.
Kevin Kelly trying to close out the 7th. 0-2. Making quick work of Christian Bethencourt. A 3-pitch strikeout for the right-hander Kevin Kelly, who had some words for Christian Bethencourt, who didn't like it. And this game is headed to the bottom of the 7th. The Netherlands sitting pretty right now. A 2-1 lead, hitting the gritty in Taiwan. Bottom of the 7th inning in Taichung. A 2-1 lead for the Netherlands over Panama as we move into the latter third of this game. Tyler Monrine, Roland Smith. They were, I won't say fireworks at the end of the top of the 7th, but a big strikeout for Kevin Kelly, and did not appear as though Christian Bethencourt appreciated the little strut to the dugout. 1-1. The count on the leadoff man, Josh Palacio, fouls it right. And here it was a moment ago.
What do you call that? The gritty?
The gritty.
That's what the kids do these days. Look at Christian Bethencourt. He's like, hold on a second, bro. You're going to stare him down, give him that extra little look as if to say, act like you've done that before, young man.
Palacios over to third, backpedaling. Nice pick by Caballero, 1 out. That was the gritty on the right side of your screen and the stank eye on the left side.
Frustration too, Christian Bethencourt. We talk about how good he has been, especially with 2 strikes and just waving at a pitch outside the strike zone.
Severino Gonzalez, the new arm into the game for Panama, pitched 12 games with the Guerreros of Oaxaca in the Mexican League last year. Not great numbers, as you see, but a leadoff out, and Panamanian pitching has really dazzled today. It's kind of strange to see this team on the wrong side of this score because they have limited the Netherlands to 5 hits. 2 of those hits, though, have been solo homers.
Yeah, really only 2 mistakes all day. I mean, you can't ask for much more from this pitching staff. Luis Ortiz.
Relton Simmons takes strike 1. Simmons 0 for 2 so far today. Fly out in the 2nd inning. And preceded a 4th inning strikeout that ended that frame.
Again, this is one of those situations, you take a look at Luis Ortiz. As exhausting as it is when you lose by a run if the score stays the same. It's one of those things you lose sleep over, as opposed to if you get knocked out 10-0, you go, okay, look, we didn't have it today. My starting pitching set the tone, et cetera, et cetera. But when you pitch this like this, and you're just not getting anything happening offensively when you know you're capable, it's tough to walk away from.
Simmons got a chance to reach on this one. Nice play initially on the pickup there by Caballero, but the throw gets away from Santa Maria at first. And Simmons, a potential insurance run, digs into second. And it's actually Alan Cordoba who has moved to first base. Some gamesmanship there from Andrelton Simmons, making Cordoba flip that ball back in behind him. So the defensive change for Panama, that was a really nice pickup by Caballero, but the throw escaping.
Just couldn't Get that weight underneath him to finish that play. And that's tough too if you're quarterback. You've been in left field the whole game, all of a sudden you switch it over to first base. That ball will find you. Tough play to make.
Rodrigo Orozco is taken over in left. And Alan Cordoba moving from left field to first base. So a big spot here for Chadwick Trump. That goes as an infield single that enables Simmons to advance to second on the error by Caballero. And Ryan, you look back to the early part of this game, Vladimir Valentin thrown out at the plate to end the second inning. I mean, that right now stacks up as something that could be an insurance run, give you a little bit of breathing room, and instead that was off the board early. Just a one-run game right now for the Netherlands. So trying to get a little bit of that breathing room here.
Yeah, it's amazing how every at-bat, every moment counts when you're only playing 4 games. This ball play.
Back up the middle, perfectly positioned. A great play by Arauz, who's got the out at first. It'll push Simmons to third. But Jonathan Arauz was stationed perfectly out behind the second base bag, and he gets the second out.
It's a good play to his right in this situation. Look at this. This saves a run. It really does. I mean, we can talk all day about the Netherlands defense in the infield. What about Panama? See the play before this from Caballeros not being able to make the play, but knocking these balls down, nothing getting through the infield.
This has just been a tremendously well-played baseball game. Jerickson Profar, whose home run with 1 out in the 5th inning is the difference right now.
Christian Bethencourt faking a throw down to third base. No way he's throwing down to third base in this situation with 2 outs, but a little bit of that frustration too. We saw the stare down at the end of that last inning.
Told you a moment ago, the shift restriction's not in play here in the 2023 World Baseball Classic. Another thing to keep in mind, the larger bases are not in play here either. Same with the pitch timer. That's not here, but that is something to keep in mind because we'll see teams run a lot more in the World Baseball Classic as Profar is going to take the intentional free pass here off of the 2-0 count. And here's the reason why Panama had no interest in dealing with Jerickson Profar. This was 2 innings ago.
Yeah, this will do it too. This is a hanging slider, middle of the plate. This has been the difference in this game. Talk about some of these guys. One of the biggest differences too. What do you got on that, Tyler?
I'm in my grade.
You work on that? Is that something you're working on?
You know, that's what I've always wondered. You know, the NFL now, touchdown celebrations are legalized, and it's made me think, as Bernardina slices that one foul, do guys get together? Is that like an after practice activity? Yeah. Like, all right, let's work on this. We got to choreograph some things.
Well, you have that feeling right now. Roger Bernardina up to hit in the dugout. They got that feeling like, all right, are we going to be able to do that again, 3rd time today, if they can get that run in?
I will say, I'm a little disappointed that you didn't know what the gritty was. You run camps.
I know what the gritty is. I was playing.
I'm sure you do. Oh, how convenient. Now he knows what the gritty is. Bernardino. Oh, what a diving stab by Cordoba at first. The converted shortstop getting most of his work in the outfield these days. And like a cat off the bag, snares that one and takes it to first to wrap up the 7th inning. The Netherlands will leave a pair. We take this game to the 8th. 2-1. Netherlands leading. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of World Baseball Classic Incorporated. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. What are those goats hanging out on the beach in that shot? Those things looked awesome. I'm gonna have to get some explanation on that. Ramos, big drive out to center. Bernardina backpedaling onto the warning track, pulls it in front of the wall. Holy cow. Jose Ramos, who had the biggest blasts of the Panama City qualifier in October, very nearly
drew his team even. You got the feeling, Ryan, if that ball is 10 feet further toward right center, the wind may help it get out instead of knocking it down, and instead it's a loud out number 1 in the 8th.
Yeah, we talk about when that ball gets up in that wind tunnel, it does get knocked down. Look, like you said, though, you make a great point. 10 feet to the right, you're thinking this ball's over that yellow line. Man, I'll tell you what, that Dutch team just held their collective breath. They watched that ball get up into the sky.
You got the Shark out there patrolling center field. Roger Bernardino's done this for a lot of years. No panic there to haul that in and bounce off the wall in center. And with 1 out, Ruben Tejada is the man at the plate. There you got to look at the way the wind is currently blowing here in Taichung.
I'm so impressed, Tyler, too, with this pitching we've seen the last 2 days. We go back, and again, I have to admit, you look at Franklin Van Herp, what he did yesterday in the heart of that lineup against Cuba. Back out here for the 8th inning again. Remember, you go back-to-back days, you have to sit the next day, but guess what? The Netherlands have tomorrow off. So advantageous. Getting that day off in the middle of this.
We talked a little bit about this yesterday. Would you say that that's the most advantageous schedule? Well,
I'd say so. And you have to take another look at Franklin Van Herp again. We had to question, what was the depth going to look like from this pitching? He's got that big sweeping slider. And even when he's sitting out over the middle of the plate, takes enough off the velocity of that pitch to get out off the barrel.
Left side, gobbled up by Simmons. 2 gone.
It's kind of that formula now. A lot of unknowns in that pitching staff. You've got Van Herp throwing the 8th. And we saw Florinas, who will see him again in the 9th inning.
They are in the midst of a wild one at the Tokyo Dome right now. Australia, which had an 8-4 lead just a moment ago, now leading Korea 8-7. 15 combined runs on 16 combined hits in that game. Korea's got the tying run at third base with 2 outs at the bottom of the 8th. Luis Castillo bats with 2 outs and the bases empty, and his team trailing by a run.
Yeah, Tyler, we're watching this game right now. It's a 2-1 game, but when you're on the field, the situation on either side of the field, if you're on the Netherlands, in the Netherlands dugout, you have that feeling like you're in complete control of this game. And on the flip side with Panama, there's just that frustration that builds up as the game goes on. It's a 1-run game, but it just doesn't have that feel to it if you're in that Panamanian dugout, because you just are not getting anything started offensively.
Tapper out in front of the plate, and Van Herp's throw, an adventurous one, but what a job by Didi Gregorius, who paint me like one of your French first basemen. We'll take this game to the bottom of the 8th. Our score, the Netherlands 2 and Panama 1 in Taiwan. This was the play a moment ago. Franklin Van Herp able to get the final out of the inning on that slow roller back to the mound. Didi Gregorius
threw a slider right there. Look at this.
I'm imagining Didi does a lot of yoga. I would not be. My body would snap in half attempting to.
But the reaction right here, the big smile on his face, he's good. He's all right. This is game number 1 for him over at first base. You saw that breakdown of where he's played in the infield. Most on the left-hand side. Over 1,000 major league games. He's having a blast over there, picking balls all over the place. That's what I'm saying, too. And this is to my point I was making at the end of that last inning. It's a 1-run game. And the reaction to everything going on the field for the Netherlands team. Big smiles, tons of energy, a little bit of frustration and panic on that Panama side.
2-1 our score as the left-hander Humberto Baldonado takes over on the pitcher's mound for him. Alberto out of Cologne. Cologne home to another Panamanian Major League squad.
So Baldonado playing AAA with the the Washington Nationals. Sub 4 ERA, 63 innings. Chance to play against one of the game's best shortstops.
Xander Bogaerts searching for a 3-hit day, has it, and he may end up a triple away from the cycle. He does on a double to get things started in the 8th.
He definitely heard us in that open, talking about some of the lack of production we've seen at the World Baseball Classic. Coming in this game, hitting 222 in a Dutch uniform. Here he is, 3 for 3 with the home run too. Just out of the reach, taking that second hop over that glove.
He is seeing that ball very well right now. And puts himself out there in scoring position for Gregorius. Netherlands has had some opportunities today to add to this lead, but not many. 2 solo homers. Gregorius thought about trying to advance Bogarts with the bunt. Takes ball 1.
Trying to get that insurance. Again, we don't see that a whole lot at the major league level. You will see it here in tournament play. Doesn't matter if it's the 1st inning, the 8th inning. See guys trying to drop bunts down. Add that lead. Yeah, in situations like this too, just like the playoffs, once you get to September, October, stats, numbers, batting average, none of that matters. You throw all that out the window. All that matters is you get those runs across. This team, the Netherlands too, we talked about that different energy they have, how loose they're playing. A big part of that is because they've had such success. This guy, Henrik Newland's major league coach, very well invested in this Dutch program. But when you've done it before, year after year, you've got deep into this World Baseball Classic, kind of have that feeling like, look, we've been here before, we're good.
Warriors sending a foul ball back our direction. 2 balls, 1 strike. This has been a fantastic ball game today. First of 2 from here at Taichung Intercontinental Ballpark today. And Gregorius does lay it down and lays it down perfectly to 3rd. Sacrifice bunt is successful. Bogarts advances. Gregorius retired 5-3. 1 out in the 8th.
Just trying to get that extra run. See, he did perfect bunt too. Look at that. Left on left. Carlo, you missed the bunt. You don't see it in the big leagues at all, really.
No. Not really. Wendell Florness,
I'm with you.
ready to roll for the 9th.
Got to look at that bullpen as well, Florness. We saw him pitch yesterday. Make quick work of that Cuban lineup in the 9th inning.
I will say I do miss guys trying to bunt for base hits a little bit more.
Right.
Trying to catch someone napping as trying to catch a mistake. The Netherlands is going to do so, and that is the perfect example of why the sacrifice bunt plays so well in this tournament-style format, as the Netherlands manufactures an insurance run here in the 8th.
And that's rough, too. Christian Bethan caught that ball, just get between the stumps right there. Netherlands add to this lead.
That is a wild pitch, charged to Baldonado, who just buried it. But Christian Bethencourt is going to tell you he should have had that, or at least kept it close.
Get another look. That's a changeup right here. Just, again, just sneaking under that glove. Like you said, Tyler, that's a play that Christian Bethencourt makes 99% of the time, especially with the runner on 3rd. Got to get that glove down.
2-2 now on Jonathan Scope, who's 0 for 3 today. So a 3-1 lead for the Netherlands. Grounder out to short. Moving to Hop, 2 out.
We talked about the fact that 1-run lead, just the difference, obviously, with the energy. But when you're Panama, you're struggling offensively. You've got nothing going. Not stringing any hits together. That 1 run feels like it's 5 right now, especially heading into the 9th inning.
These two teams with victories yesterday. The Netherlands outlasting Cuba 4-2. Panama over the host team, Chinese Taipei, 12-5. Impressive win for Panama. So the winner of this game today becomes the lone 2-0 squad moving into tomorrow. And if you're the Netherlands, you feel even better because you can knock out your second win in as many games and settle into your off day tomorrow. Rest up a little bit for the remainder of the weekend. This game is mammoth as it pertains to the teams that will advance from here in Taiwan to the quarterfinal round in Tokyo. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Vladimir Valentin. 0-for-2 with a couple of strikeouts and a walk today. Big shift on for him as he fouls the 1-2 away. So much rarer that we see shifts on right-handed hitters. And obviously the shift game is going to change. But Valentin, who pulls the ball with so much power, Panama playing him to go that way. Laces this one back into the screen. 97 miles an hour there from Alberto Baldonado. Leadoff double through the hole on the left side and off the glove of the diving shortstop Ruben Tejada for Xander Bogaerts to get this inning started. Went to third on Didi Gregorius' sacrifice bunt and then home on the wild pitch. Charged to Alberto Baldonado.
If you're Panama too, you just go into that 7th, 8th, and 9th position in your lineup. Just get on base, flip that lineup over, get base runners. Going to the top of that 9th inning, your last chance. This game, like you said, Tyler, it is crucial to be in the driver's seat. Get that second win. Panama got a tough road after this with Cuba, Italy even.
Good and bad here from Valentin. Full count, 2 gone. Baldonado trying to get his team to the bat rack for the final inning of regulation. Looking at that tense dugout on the third base side for Panama, a team that has played really well today, but just hasn't been able to get the big hits in the big moments. 3-2 pitch coming. Valentin laces it over the shift and down in left field. He's got his first hit of the Classic, snaps an 0-for-6 start, and a 2-out base runner for the Netherlands in the 8th.
On the 10th pitch of the at-bat, you can see that coming too with Vladimir Valentin. This is a fastball, just able to foul off that changeup. You know that's going to be that secondary pitch. So you're going to see a pitch up.
One of the hardest hit balls we've seen in the first 2 days of this Classic. That was 107 off the bat for Valentin. 2 outs. It brings up Josh Palacios, who's over 3.
Look at that 107. Still got it, Tyler. We're asking the question. Watch him take BP. He was hitting, fouling a couple balls back. I don't want to throw him under the bus here, but ex-teammate of mine. And then that ball we saw yesterday, just kind of the parachute getting pulled on it, ended up in the warning track.
Bouncer out to second. Ray Patrick Ditter, the pinch runner. No trouble for Panama second baseman, Jonathan Arauz, who gets it to first for the final out. And here comes the bottom third of the Panamanian order, trying to rally from a 2-run deficit as we go to the 9th. The difference makers so far in this game today for the Kingdom of the Netherlands. A couple of big bats leaving the yard. Xander Bogarts blasting a solo shot out to left field in the 3rd inning, and Jerickson Profar following with a tank to right in the 5th.
Now 2 balls have stayed below that wind tunnel. Xander Bogarts. That bat has finally woken up for him. 3-for-3 day. Now all of a sudden Netherlands in the driver's seat, 3 outs away from getting that second win.
And the new arm into the game to try to close out the second victory in as many days for the Netherlands is the guy who did so yesterday, the Tigres de Quintana Roo right-handed reliever, Wendell Florinus. Florinus, 8 pitches, all he needed yesterday to work a perfect ninth and pick up the save in that win over Cuba.
And plenty of that too, getting in good counts. Good tempo. A quick work of that Cuban lineup yesterday.
Grounder up the middle. Bogarts has got it. 1 up and 1 down. New man into the game in right field for the Netherlands. Jonathan Scope's brother, Charlon Scope, one of the 3 pairs of brothers on this Netherlands roster. And with 1 gone, that'll bring up Jose Caballero.
Luis Ortiz is begging for base runners right here. Just give me a chance. Just give me a chance to have 1 swing in the bat. Tie this game up. That's all it takes. Flip that lineup back over to the top.
But man, Ryan, even if Panama can't rally to win this game, Luis Ortiz has got to feel great about what he's seen from his guys through the first 2 days here.
Yeah, you just, man, this close to knocking off the pool favorites. Pitched extremely well, 2 big mistakes. And there's plenty of this too. Look how frustrated these Panamanian teams, hitters are on this team. Just nothing doing.
Caballero put away by Bernardina, and the task falls to Rodrigo Orozco, who came into this game in left field as a defensive replacement. Yadiel Santamaria out of this game. Alan Cordoba moving over to first. And Orozco trying to keep things alive for Panama in the 9th. And the first pitch is there for a strike to him. And Wendell Florinus needed 8 pitches to finish off the save yesterday. Might do it the same way here today.
Barely broken sweat in the last 2 days. Excited for the game. Tonight we'll go to Italy versus Cuba. Matt Harvey taking the mound for Mike Piazza's squad.
Well, he's really exerting himself now. 9 pitches today. Rodrigo Orozco, a guy who has played in a lot of different competitions for Panama, trying to keep his team alive. He's able to get a piece of this one and foul it off. Orozco played in the 2019 Caribbean Series with the Toros of Herrera, a team that was a late addition to the Caribbean Series, actually hosted that year's event and won it. Panama's first title in the Caribbean Showcase since 1950. Ball and 2 strikes on it. 1-2 pitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Again, we talked about Netherlands having that off day tomorrow. Man, what an advantage. Especially when you're trying to manage this pitching stuff the best you can. You've lost a couple arms. Florida's making quick work right here. 2 strikes.
Down the right field line, a foul ball. If Rodrigo Orozco can find his way on, right behind him is the top of the order for Panama, which will try to come to the rescue of this team this day. Alan Cordoba 0 for 3 with a walk. They are in the bottom of the 9th inning in Tokyo. Australia clinging to an 8-7 lead over Korea in a game that actually started an hour before our game. It's been a lengthy one today at the Tokyo Dome. 15 runs on 17 combined hits in that one. Orozco.
Yeah, what a contrast from last night. All the fireworks here coming in to face the home team, Panama. Upsetting him, 12 runs. Sometimes you get a little exhausted. You can see that energy today in the noon game.
Just away. And a
count goes full.
But again, you never give up at bats until it's all said and done. Try and flip that lineup over.
3-2.
Big at
Rico
bat.
Orozco
Wow.
finds his way on.
Wasn't that back? Coming back from having 2 strikes down. Early in this at-bat, Fallon pitches off. Able to lay off that fastball away. This pitch is close too. It's could have gone either way. That is discipline right there. Knowing the fact that you need base runners, you need some kind of heartbeat offensively.
So Alan Cordoba into the batter's box, and one swing could get this game even. A place where it has not been all day today. The Netherlands scoring a run in the bottom of the third on Xander Bogarts' solo homer to get the offense started. Adding one on Jerickson Profar's homer in the 5th. Panama responded with a run in the 6th. The Netherlands got that back in the bottom of the 8th. Cordoba takes ball 1.
Keep chipping away, keep seeing those pitches, that breaking ball, that changeup. Get something up in the strike zone. Keep that line moving.
Florness from the stretch. Up high. 2-1. Wendell Florness did not have to work from the stretch at all yesterday. Went 3 up, 3 down against Cuba to earn the save. Jonathan Arauz in the on-deck circle. Big swing from Cordoba, and the count's even.
That was a pitch. You have to let it eat. Get that hay swing off. Good Cordoba right here. Look at that swing. Kind of tied his game up.
2-2 pitch on the way. Cordoba stays alive. Alan Cordoba, over the course of his professional career, 8 seasons in the minor leagues, 19 homers. 4 big league homers. Laces this one out to short. Xander Bogarts is there to put it away. And the Netherlands improves to 2-0 and heads into its off day in the driver's seat in Pool A.
And you can see the energy, the momentum just stayed in that first base dugout on the Netherlands team. The minute Xander Bogarts left the yard with that line drive home run into left field, it was all smiles with this Dutch team. And right there, Jerickson Profar going deep. That was the difference. Had that lead, and they are in the driver's seat here in Pool A.